And welcome everyone to this Alliance of Light podcast. Hot off the presses, this is our very first edition, and we're so excited to be here. My name is Elizabeth Trask, and I would love to introduce to you the Alliance of Light planning team who is here with me. So I'll start off the introductions with Bill Fraze.
Hey, Elizabeth, so glad to be here with you and with everyone.
Thank you so much. And I'll move over to Cheryl Henry. Thank you for being with us, Cheryl.
Hi, everyone. I'm Cheryl, and I'm so glad that you are here. Welcome.
Yahoo! And I'll move to Yvonne Riley. Thank you so much for being with us.
Hi, everybody. Thank you for being here. It's truly a pleasure.
Thank you, Yvonne. And we'll move to Dorothy Clausen.
This is exciting. Glad to be here with you all.
Wahoo! Awesome. Well, this is our Alliance of Light planning team, and we are all together here today to begin this process of sharing the body of work that is the Alliance of Light with our podcast listeners. So, this is our very first episode, and we put our heads and hearts together, and we're really wondering what is the most important stuff? What is the most important things that we would like to share with you about this body of work before we dive right in and share a whole bunch of these recorded guided prayers and meditations with you? So, what is the Alliance of Light? And this is kind of a big question. And I would love to invite anybody on a screen with us today who would like to respond to this question, because there's a lot here, as in what is the Alliance of Light? For fixed material objects, this is often a very short sentence. We can talk about them and define them and confine them with just a few short words. But when it comes to spiritual infrastructure, a light infrastructure, how do we talk about it? How do we define this? So we are tasked with that today, and we will do our very best to use words and language to point towards this beautiful and enormous phenomenon. As always, words are kind of limiting at times, and it can be tricky to truly encompass the fullness of these phenomena with language, but we're going to do our best so that we can invite you into this incredible reality that is the body of work of the Alliance of Light. So I'll open the floor here and see if anyone wants to dive in with any little tidbits or juicy goodies about what is the Alliance of Light in their experience or their perspective. And then I'll jump in and say a little more. Thank you, Yvonne.
Thank you, Elizabeth. And I totally agree that I think it's very hard to define. And I think there's more there than we ever probably could imagine. But the one that I am most familiar with and the one that I sort of understand the best is the lattice of light. And the lattice of light is us. We create this beautiful lattice of light through our love for each other, for our love for our world, for our earth, for our love for God. And it spreads over the entire world. Elizabeth, you're in Canada, I'm in Pennsylvania, and there is this beautiful light structure that joins us together because of our love. And it goes all around the world. And it doesn't just benefit us, it doesn't just benefit me or you, it benefits everybody, it benefits the world. And so to me, the more I pray, the more I love, the more I give to the world, to the earth. And so, there's probably many, many more. And that's just one that I pray for a lot. I pray for those channels to be strong and for that love to pour itself into the earth in any way that it can.
Thank you. Yeah, beautiful, beautiful. That was near poetic. Thank you, Yvonne. I love how you've brought up this piece about love and its relationship with the lattice of light and these infrastructures of light, how they are fortified and strengthened with love. And that one of the ways in which you are cultivating more love in your life is with prayer, and that prayer and prayer love in prayer, fortify these infrastructures of light. And so maybe I'll just acknowledge that there are many, many, many different infrastructures of light. As I see it, there are infrastructures of light we could call the spiritual deepest core essence of every human being the soul center, we might call, or there's lots of language. Sometimes we use the word higher self. Sometimes we use the words inner light. These are all words to describe a phenomena of what I would consider to be a form of an individual's infrastructure of light. So that's one infrastructure of light in a fairly small scale. And every human being has this form of an infrastructure of light. And then the infrastructure expands. There are many, many forms. And I'm going to skip right to this large one that Yvonne mentioned of the lattice of light. The lattice of light is this massive infrastructure, this net or web of light that surrounds our entire globe. And as Yvonne alluded to, this infrastructure can help receive and transmit love and light around our entire globe, and helps to permeate and bridge light into our beautiful planet, into our sentient planet, and support all of the life that our planet upholds and supports, which is quite a lot. What does this infrastructure of light, what does this lattice of light bridge? Well, it bridges the material plane and the spirit plane and helps them to function in unity and harmony together as they are designed to. This experience of separation of these planes is actually illusory, but so many people perceive this illusion of this space of separation on Earth. This lattice of light has a function to help unify these so that the love and the light from the spirit plane can more readily and easily pour into the material plane to support all of life in the material plane. Now, some of the work that we're doing in the Alliance of Light is to help bridge these infrastructures so that the different forms of infrastructure of light, from the small forms of infrastructure of light, like at the soul level, can connect with these larger infrastructures like the lattice of light. But we haven't even talked about the enormous Alliance of Light yet. So the Alliance of Light is a massive, even more massive than the one that surrounds our globe, because this Alliance of Light bridges planets and universes. It is an alliance of light, an alliance of a literal infrastructure of light that bridges many, 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 many different scales of light infrastructure into a massive, massive, massive infrastructure of light. Needed to add 3 massives there because it's so big. And to be specific, it is love that illuminates. But I would also love to draw upon, there is a specific quality of love that is especially potent and pungent for these infrastructures, for all of life, but for these infrastructures. And it is a quality of unconditional love that we might call divine love, source love. We might call this source intelligence, universal love. But a really important distinction in this love is that it is infinite. It is available as a reality that is in unity and harmony with all of life. And when we are cultivating this love, and as I understand it, Yvonne was alluding to an experience in prayer where she becomes and experiences more and more love. Now, this may happen through any form of prayer, but the specific form of prayer might be one that includes communing with this divine love, communing with this divine essence. And this divine essence actually transforms whatever it contacts into more loving, more harmony, more light. So whenever we contact, especially this particular kind of love, this quality of unconditional love, this divine love, this love is a love that fortifies and builds these infrastructures of light. And in the body of work of the Alliance of Light helps us to bridge those infrastructures where we can be earthly links, channels for this love through our prayer, through our desire to help feed these different infrastructures. And in the Alliance of Light guided prayers, how we have been doing those is we first center in our own well of light inside, center in our own personal infrastructure, our souls or our deepest core essence. And we cultivate and call love there and radiate from fullness before we extend out anywhere else. Once we're radiating from fullness and that light, we invite that surplus, so above and beyond what we personally require in this infinite flow of divine essence, to then, through our intended earthly links, to nurture some of these infrastructures like the lattice of light and the alliance of light.
So what I'm hearing you talk about are that there are these, we'll call them spiritual infrastructures that exist, and that we as incarnate human beings, people who live in biological bodies, that we have this role to play in acting as channels for this divine essence, this love, this unconditional love. And that as we do so with the desire and the intention to contribute to this alliance of light, this vast cosmic infrastructure, that as we do that, that somehow the expressions of these desires that we have are actually helping to facilitate this process. As I grow in my capacity to embody this divine essence, this love, my ability to harmonize, align, resonate with these various infrastructures increases. And so I'm able to make greater contributions through these sympathetic or harmonic resonances of energy between my being and between all of these infrastructures of light. And also, my sense is that I have the capability as an individual participating in this massive collective to also bring in things through my channel that have the potential to be helpful or beneficial, whether to myself, to others, to the world. In this process, we have the capability of both contributing to it, but also receiving benefits from participation as well.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Bill. Thank you for bringing that level of clarity. So I would like to affirm, yes, yes, as I understand it, the ways that I'll call them truths, but I think sometimes they're called laws, universal laws or laws of love, or for me, they're truths of love, that we are meant to benefit when something is truly harmonious. What's for my highest good is for the highest good of all. And this is woven through all of creation. And in my experience, whenever we are showing up to a prayer like the Alliance of Light guided prayer, we stand to benefit. We stand to gain and benefit by our presence there. And benefit, gain, contribution doesn't happen in a vacuum in this reality of unity and harmony. Whenever I benefit, that benefit radiates out in glory. And there are certain special kinds of mathematics at work here, where when one person comes together with this desire to be a contribution, there are wonderful benefits that come through. But just like that old adage, I grew up in a very small town, more horses than people. And the adage goes, as I recall it, one horse can pull 1,000 pounds, but two horses can pull 5,000 pounds. That defies math as we understand it, but there's something about unity and harmony, even in our friends in the animal kingdom, where this synergy, this unity, when two or more of us come together with an intention in a prayerful space like this, we get to benefit from amplifications so that it is us in communion with our own infrastructure of light, our soul, and our soul in communion with the great oversoul, the massive source of unconditional divine essence, drinking from that massive fountainhead of love and infinite light. No matter how much we receive, we wouldn't tap that resource dry. No matter how much we receive, there is yet more for us and more for anyone else who desires to access it. When we do that, where I am doing that and anyone else is doing that with a unified intention of replenishing, of development, of harmony, of love, of illumination, and a desire to radiate from fullness, to be a contribution, to have this love pour through us to all of our loved ones, to all of our brothers and sisters, and to our planet. And in each one of our guided prayers, we have that shared intention where we invite that intention forward, where we can be a contribution to our planet, to our brothers and sisters, to each other. Then not only is that love pouring through me as an individual and radiating from fullness and my individuality, but that in that unity of connection, we can now benefit from the amplifications available of there being a collective. So that love pours through me and that other individual individually, and it also pours through the collective channel now made by our unity and harmony. There is a truth of us coming together in the many, many. And when many of us gather, we benefit from many, 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 many amplifications in these contributions. I think it's also important for us to remember that this love continues to flow. It transforms whatever it touches into more loving, into more harmonious. And so when we reach for this love, we call for it. We ourselves are transforming into our most loving version of ourselves. But when we have a unity of intention to contribute to something like the Alliance of Light or the Lattice of Light, we have the opportunity to benefit us in our individual ways by reaching for this essence and benefiting, offering our desires. Okay, I desire this love. Maybe I even have a sub desire or a side desire. I desire some healing for my back or my niece or my, we have these desires. We offer them forward. We receive a response from this love always. Another one of the truths and laws is that when we offer our desire, we receive in response to our desire. And we have that open receptivity in prayer and that silent portion of the meditation portion where we've offered our desires, we open wide to receive the response to our desires, and there's an inflowing. We, in this way, benefit personally, individually, and whomever we have personally intended to receives in accordance to their desire as well. But when we come together in this prayer, love and light pours through us, our collective channel as well, and then scalably, all of life benefits, literally all of life, from every cell in my body to every filament of light in my spirit, to the deepest well of my being, my soul, illuminated with this love and the flow of prayer, and then unifying, fortifying the connections, the tendrils of light that move between any one of us who are praying together with this shared intention. And then the love then pours through this collective channel of any number of us praying together, and each one of us adds another level of amplification, another level of our own unique light and qualities that we bring, our own unique desires that we bring. Those are an incredible benefit to us, to each other, to our planet, and to these massive infrastructures of light. So when we come open-hearted to a prayer space like this, we don't have to have a cognitive understanding of actually anything we're talking about today. That's more to help minds. That's more to help minds feel comfortable to show up and be present and know that there's no wrong way to pray. There's no, you're bad, you're doing it wrong. There's no prayer police that I know of. And so this is an invitation to step into that possibility of the interconnection of all being of great benefit. By filling ourselves up and radiating from fullness, we have the ability to fuel ourselves where our free will choice reigns.
I'm so glad that you guys brought up the divine love, because I think when we pray for the Alliance of Light, I think it's always with the intention of us receiving God's divine love and for that being pushed out. But I think when we're talking about the benefits of who benefits from these beautiful prayers of the Alliance of Light, to me, one of the most important benefits is the spirits that are in the lower spheres. And, during prayers with the Alliance of Light, I have had visuals, and they're always very, very different than from other prayer circles. And oftentimes I have visuals, or I sense very greatly these spirits that are in the lower spheres feeling this love, feeling it. And that is just the most beautiful thing, because there is such a lack of love in those lower spheres. And, the benefit that they are getting from these Alliance of Light prayers is just, I think it's just phenomenal. And it gives me joy to know. I mean, it gives me joy to know that we're all benefiting from it, but they're sort of stuck. And to know that they are gaining, that they are feeling this love and hopefully helping them to move on is just a great joy.
Thank you. Thank you so much for bringing that up. It is true. Everyone and everything benefits. And I love that you pointed out, I also have a real soul desire within me to help alleviate suffering on our planet, but also there is suffering that happens in spirit from folks who are stuck in places that are stuck in their thought loops. I mean, any one of us has probably had any of these experiences of being a bit stuck. And the benefit doesn't just extend to the material plane. It doesn't just extend to our beautiful planet and all of the life materially that our planet supports. But it's good to remember that there is even more living beings and creatures that exist in the spirit plane than do in the material plane. And that's saying something, because we have over 8 billion incarnated people on our earth right now, as far as we know. There is a huge variety, just like there is in the material plane, of folks who are thriving and folks who are not thriving. And one of the great benefits of prayers like this is that this love flows to the paths of least resistance. It flows to where it is required and desired. It flows to any being, any life that desires and requires it. So these prayers are also incredible reservoirs, incredible channels to help alleviate suffering wherever that exists.
One of the things that's really become clear in this conversation, which maybe it was assumed or we've already talked about it, but the reason that we're creating this podcast is because we desire for many more people to consciously participate in this massive multidimensional cosmic project that we ourselves are so grateful and excited to be participating in. So I just wanted to put that out there, that this is us inviting you, dear listeners, to consider, oh, I can be a part of this awesomeness. Yes, you can. And another thing I just wanted to throw in here too is that we use words like prayer. And I think people can get from the context of how even the word prayer has been used so far in this conversation that we are not talking about what I think many people on the planet assume when we use words like prayer. For me, prayer is my ability for all of the aspects of myself, but particularly for my deepest aspects, what I would call my soul or my core self, to express those desires, those things that are deeply and uniquely mine to express, that are not like anybody else's to express. Because again, I think so many people, when they think about prayer, they think about verbal formulas. They think about, I ask and then I wait for stuff to happen. And that's not really what prayer is for us. It's communing. It's communing with source. It's communing with my own self, my own aspects. It's communing with all that is, again, through these expressions of desire to do so. And in particular, this deep desire that I have to experience more of the divine essence, more of this unconditional divine love. And that within that flow, then I feel like I am able to, in my own unique ways, contribute to this larger endeavor that we are calling the Alliance of Light.
Thank you, Bill. Thank you so much for sharing. I really appreciate that. Prayer is often a word that we use in association with religion. And here, that's actually not what we're talking about at all. In fact, in this context, prayer could be easily replaced with the word practice, because what we're talking about is practicing a receptive communion, curious communion with my own soul. That's where I start. And then my own soul reaches for what I consider the continuous flow of unconditional love from source. Some people call this creator's love, divine love, but this receptive communion is something that every being has the capacity for, and every being can do and choose. simply by intending to do so and creating a moment or a time or a space where you can reach for that as an intention. The mind often wants to help us to do things properly. But in fact, prayer is very unique for every person in my experience. Just as we're unique, this practice of communion is likely to be unique for each and every one of us. And so what that experience is, or what we encounter when we enter that space or that state, folks who have really active minds might have a tricky time getting the mind to calm down in the first little bit when we're starting this practice of stillness, of slowing things down, of being receptive, of reaching for the deepest core essence of us, because our minds are often quite a lot louder and a lot faster in terms of their processing and programmings and overlays. But we aren't just material beings. We are also spiritual beings. We are also soulful beings. And so when we give an opportunity to slow down enough or to be quiet enough or the mind to be receptive enough to actually perceive what it is, what else it is that's available for us in terms of our own energetic anatomy, we might actually get to hear what it is our soul has to say, or perceive or sense in some way what it is our deepest core essence would like us to know, would like us to perceive. And so this opportunity of slowing, of stilling, of being receptive, this is something that we are calling prayer. This is something that when we go in this communion from the centering in our own selves, quieting, softening, being receptive, and then taking that space into something greater. And whether you perceive journeying inward to that space or reaching outward to that space is up to you. We're all individual. However you are accessing this plane, this possibility of the divine essence, that is likely also to be unique to you, whatever your process is. However your mind perceives that to be is likely how you'll move through that. So thank you for that. Yes, that word we're throwing around willy-nilly, it can have a charge for some folks. So wonderful for us to back that up a little bit and speak to it.
I feel like this has been a good beginning, and I'm looking forward to seeing what things it makes sense to carry forward from this conversation into our next one to help those people who are listening to really get a sense of more of what's happening here. What are we up to? How can they participate and engage with these dimensions, these realities, these energies, these perceptions that have become so important to us on our individual and collective journeys?
Well, I feel like we've barely even scratched the surface on the enormity and awesomeness that is the Alliance of Light. But I'm so glad we've had this opportunity to take our first bite and little chew. So thank you very much for your contribution, Alliance of Light Planning Team. It's always such a pleasure to be with you, and I look forward to another conversation where we can expand upon this. And I will say thank you very much to our listeners. Thank you for listening to this Alliance of Light podcast. We hope that you'll join us again, and we welcome your questions, your insights, and also your participation in the Alliance of Light prayers. So thank you so very much, everyone. With big love and appreciation. Until next time.